Yes. Hello. Yes, I'm happy to be back. I have with me a very wonderful lady. We have interesting things to talk about, but definitely it's going to be conversational. We're going to ask a lot of questions. We're going to discuss other things that are interesting to me, herself, and you over there. I have with me Lola. Everybody calls her Lola, so let's keep to that name. Hello.
Hi.
Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome and thanks very much for accepting to speak with me. I mean,
So,
people don't want to talk to anybody
you.
like strangers when we were young. Our parents don't talk to strangers. So, am I a stranger?
Yeah, actually, I'm a shy person, so
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
So, Lola is going to talk about Ukraine mostly. We know what has happened the last 9 to 10 months in Ukraine. She has a very long relationship with Ukraine, so she was going to help us discuss. But before that, I want to ask her. So, where do you come from?
From Nigeria.
Which part of
Lagos, to be
Nigeria?
precise.
Lagos.
Yes.
So you come from the city.
Yes.
You're not a village girl.
No.
You were born and raised in Lagos.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Lagos.
So how can you be shy if you were born and raised in Lagos?
Well, maybe it's my personality.
Okay. All right. Great. And before, what were you doing before you left Nigeria? The last thing you did. I mean.
Yeah, that was in 2007. I think I finished my secondary school in 2004. So, Africa with jams and WAEC and all that. So I couldn't make my A level at once. So I had to write over and over again until one day my dad called me. I was like, you know what? I have a friend who is into Ukraine stuff and all that. Would you like to apply? I was like, why not? Like, I'm tired of all this. So I traveled in 2007.
So it means Ukraine. I mean, before Ukraine, 2004, you finished high school
Yes.
or secondary school.
Yeah.
And then between that and 2007, you are trying to better your results.
Yes.
Do you succeed?
Well, at a point when I was applying for the Ukraine scam, I got a reply from Lola
Okay.
calling me to come for my course, which is in economics, but I had to choose between going to Ukraine or staying in Nigeria.
I know what everybody would choose.
Yeah, of course.
But the other person would choose.
My dad actually gave me time, like, you have to choose. You can ask anybody. You can ask, like, your friends, tell them to advise you on this. So in myself, I was like, I know what I want already. So
Okay. And the subjects that I'm interested, subjects that delayed you from 2000, were they was mathematics one of them?
yes.
Oh, all of us, right. Well, so in Ukraine, I mean, what did you go to do in Ukraine? What you went to school
Yes.
or you got a job?
No, if anyone knows about Ukraine, you know that it's more of education. They're into more educational
Education
system.
migration, yeah.
So I would say that the jobs in Ukraine is not even enough for the indigents. So I didn't go to work, but that was actually part of my intention to study and, of course, to get a job after my studies.
If I understand you perfectly, it means that when you're going to Ukraine, you're pretty young. You're in your early 20s, actually.
Yeah, I was 21.
Yeah, I know mathematics, right? I could easily guess. Right? Yeah, I didn't ask you. And so, what did you study in Ukraine?
In Ukraine, I studied economics.
So the same
For my
thing that
BSc.
Laura gave you.
Yes, I was really pretty much into it. I studied economics for my BSc and for my master's, economics and management.
So let's say economics. Now the world is hard. If people call you from home and like, oh, life is difficult, send us. How do we solve it as economists from bachelor's and master's level? What is the solution?
Well, let's say it's everywhere, and like just what's happening now, the world is being affected, not just like a country or a particular country. It's there's no better way to solve it than to keep investing, and like they say, the young shall grow. And with the way the technology is going now and the way things are going in the world now, I think well,
So,
if we can put in more
in
energy.
Ukraine, did you first arrive?
The city
You just said that
I
music. Okay.
arrived first was Kiev.
Kiev, okay.
Yeah, that's a point of entry.
And the university was at?
And my university is still like 13 hours after. And
13
that's from
hours
Lugansk.
by
By
train,
road.
by bus.
By bus.
And the university is called?
Lugansk National Agrarian University.
Lugansk. That's in the east, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll get there. And how was life? 21, 22-year-old girl, well, at that time girl, arriving in the forest. Did you go with someone, group of people?
Well, yeah, like you said, I was pretty young and naive. Actually, I was just starting my life then. And I went with a group of people, we were about like 9, 10, yeah. So went in group. There's this agents, Estonia agents, so we're that much. So we arrived at Kiev, then took a bus going to Lugansk, and we're like the first set of students in that school from Africa, actually.
Wow, so you're pioneers.
Yeah.
You paved way for many people who came later,
Mm-hmm.
and you became boss later. We'll talk about that. Because going to a place as the pioneer or first person to be there, you learn a lot. Well, you go through hardship because you have nobody to ask. How was it like?
Hey, yeah. Looking back, and seeing where I am right now, I can only say it can only get better. It's been hard. I won't even lie, because I can remember when we got there, and initially, you know how some agent, when you get to know some agents, how they, talk to you about some countries which they themselves they've never been there
before.
Yeah. So the initial conversation we had was after our school. Even as we are working, as we are studying, we'll go to work, and they speak English, though they have their own language, which is Ukrainian language. But on getting there, it was another thing entirely, because no single person, as at then I could say this, that no single person,
especially in an isolated city like that.
Yeah.
If maybe in Kiev.
Maybe in Kiev, yeah.
People speak English.
Like the capital city, yes, of course. So, it was very tough. We had to talk to ourselves. Although we had to study the language first, which we went through a preparatory class for like a year. But during that period, it was tough.
Okay.
So we go for preparatory class, and whereby we have to and I think Ukrainian language is one of the hardest language in the world, if you check. So apart from the weather, everything is like we are in a new world. It's really hard. I won't even lie. Yeah.
Nobody prepared for that. Nobody
told us.
Yeah.
We didn't know about this.
Okay.
We just came and.
So how did you survive it for the first bachelor's? I mean, because you continue to do master's over there. How did you survive the first 4 years? Is it 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, like I said, we had a preparatory class for 1 year. Mm-hmm. So by the 6th month, we were already catching up. We started talking to each other, and besides, most of us pick friends from outside, and yeah, the Ukrainians too. There are a lot of racists there, but few of them are very friendly. So we pick friends from them, and the school also, they have their indigents studying there. So most of them we study together. So they teach us, and while some people want to speak English, they teach us Ukrainian language while we teach them English. And I want to say something. Then we studied Ukrainian language as a subject. Although we were in Ukraine, but we studied Ukrainian language as a subject. Yeah. Because then I think Ukraine and Russia were like brother and sister. So the initial language was Russian language.
That is, especially in the East.
Yeah.
Most people speak Russian. Most of them are
Yes.
They identify as Russians.
Yes.
So
So
we're
let me
using
say
this language to be taught.
yes. So let me say 80% of people in Ukraine speak Russian language.
At least they speak.
Yeah.
Even if they
overall.
speak Ukrainian, they still speak Russian.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The people that speak Ukrainian, they still speak Russian. So, yeah. So that's how we went through by it. And our poetry class went by. We started first year till fourth year before I had my master's.
Okay.
But by then, I was already like...
You knew your what's up.
Yeah, so...
you knew more, you knew where the
Yeah.
market was and where to go for what then.
Of course,
You had a box. Were you also bringing people by this time? Were you bringing people from Nigeria by this time?
Was I bringing people?
Yeah, like, did you become agent at all?
No, but I know a friend who became an agent.
Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't really my thing at all to be an agent because I don't know how to even start to talk to people to want to come into Ukraine, a country where they don't speak English at all. I think I wouldn't want to do to others what they did to me because, yeah.
And before we go to the war, were you studying and working at some point? Did you have a job at any point at all when you were studying?
Not at all. I finished both my BSc and my masters in 2012. No.
From 2007.
Yeah, 2012.
To 2012. The master's was 1 year.
Was a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of people had this idea of selling stuffs online, and some people, when they travel back to Nigeria, they bring stuffs in, for Africans, like African stuffs, like food or hair, and some people make hair too. So, but I never had the opportunity to do any of such. I was just into my studies.
So it means your father had to send money to you every time?
Yeah, yes, all the time.
Was he a rich one or is he a rich one? In,
Well,
in your own eyes. Was someone sending dollars to you abroad?
Yeah, I can remember there was a time, because it was really hard. He's a politician, so
is that a national
he
level?
knows. Yeah, he knows.
National level.
He's a Lagos State House of Assembly. He's a member of Lagos State House of Assembly. So, although he's late now, but he died on duty.
Okay.
So, I can remember then calling him that we had to, because he expected that, okay, at least we should be doing something that will be fetching us money. Not all the time we have to call home and all that. So, most times, I have a sister which also came later. So me and my sister, we called my dad and had to tell him that we are going for an excursion, just for him to give us a tip, It was really hard,
okay.
I'd say.
Okay, well, at least you survived it.
Yeah.
And then you come to 2012, and what happened afterwards? What did you do with your life until 2014?
Okay.
2014.
After my master's in 2012, I was into okay, should I go back to Nigeria or should I stay here? But obviously, there's nothing I'll be doing because there's no job. Well, let me say, some people say there was job in Kiev, but thinking about the cost of living in a capital city and with my situation then, not like a situation per se, but
finances.
Yeah, but I was like, I am into more of now I wanted to speak in Russian. I was into more of receiving, like earning money than to be spending. So I was like, okay, maybe I should just go to Nigeria. Then I met my husband. So
you went to Nigeria?
No, I didn't later go to Nigeria.
So when you decided to go, you met your husband?
Yes.
2012, the same year?
Yeah, in 2012, 2013.
Okay, so as you were contemplating whether to go home or not,
Yes.
you found home?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he in your cohort that came or he came later? I mean, the group that started in 2007,
Yeah.
or he came later?
No, he came later,
Okay.
actually, yeah.
Okay.
He came in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
for his masters.
in Ukraine terms, you were the boss,
Yeah.
but another boss came in.
Yeah.
All right, that's great to hear. And you got married immediately, or it took some time?
Yeah, it took me like 2 years to get married. Yeah.
And the marriage happened in Nigeria, or here?
No, it happened. Yes. We had our family gathered in Nigeria, but went for the court wedding in Ukraine.
So you joined in Skype.
Not Skype.
So the marriage was the home. I mean, people at home did it for you,
Yeah.
but you were not in person.
We're not in person.
So what happened? Well, okay. So the court wedding was successful. Your friends supported you.
Yeah,
You took some photos. You had some food.
both his families and my family. So just a few friends that were in Ukraine, but my sister, like I said, so we were the ones that went for the court wedding.
Okay, great. And that was happy time, I guess.
Yeah.
Great. And then, so after new marriage, something happened.
Yeah, after my marriage, so I was waiting for my results because it used to take time to get the testimonial, the results, to get it legalized as
To translate from
translate
Ukrainian
to
English and
apostle. Yeah, so it took a really long time. So like I got pregnant in the process, and I think 6 months after I gave birth was when the war started, and that was in 2014. Yeah, to be precise, 2014 was it? I can't remember which month. Yeah, the war started in 2014.
it wasn't the beginning of the year. It was sometime in the
Yeah,
middle.
sometime in the middle. So I can remember we had already thought of staying and having a family in Ukraine. You know, I was like, okay, this is a country I've been in for over how many years?
Yes, at this time.
I can start my own business. You know, I am into the system already, so I know how to go and where to go about it. So that was a huge step, but it was really disappointing because as soon as I set my mind on it, it didn't take long at all before the war started.
So the war came from nowhere, actually. No one expected it. You didn't expect it. And you were a new mother.
Yeah.
Of twins at the time?
No.
The
My
first
first
was, okay, was
child,
one.
yes.
And how did you take it? What happened to you and your family? I mean, and it was because, like you said initially, that at this area, Russia and Ukraine were brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So this time, one brother has attacked the other brother.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened for you as a stranger in the middle of brothers and sisters fighting?
Well, it was like a joke. So
Before you continue, just to give us an idea, how close was the war to you? I mean, your city was there war in your city as well, or the war was in another city that it was closer to you?
Okay, so the war started in Kiev, then spread to, I think, Dnipropetrovsk, and maybe Ternopil. And then we're like, oh, before it gets here, maybe it should calm down. And when it started, it was really a huge.
This is 2014.
Yes,
Just for the
2014.
record. Okay.
So it started like, okay, it's going to end. We're hoping like it's going to end. It's going to end. This can happen. It's almost everyone's first time of witnessing this kind of war. So I can remember then we'll go to center, we'll see people protesting and all that. We even stand and protest with them that this is our city, you know, when it finally came to Lugansk. Then I think my city was one of the last cities that it affected. Because then we were like, no, people were even running back to
running to your place.
Coming back to our city for safety, not knowing that it will be part of the cities that will be captured. So it got to a point. My family was one of the last people that left Lugansk then. It got to a point where we're like, okay, it's like this is getting serious. Then people had to be. Then the war was now moving from Kiev to Lugansk to Donetsk to Archivsk. These are all the cities that are near my city, Lugansk. So we had to move. Then, like I remember, we just nearly bought our apartment. Then we didn't stay up to a month before we moved.
Your new house? You bought a new house?
Yes, in our chest.
Was it a lot of money that you had wasted at the time?
Well, as at then, you know, you can't compare the rate of you can't compare the rate as at then till now.
Yeah.
So it was affordable.
For you, it was money. Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot, but it was affordable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had to move.
So you bought a house. When within a month a war came,
not up to a month.
So you had to abandon the house at some
because
point.
it took us some time to fix the house, to make it to our taste.
So it's not just buying; it's also spending to make it home.
Yeah, because we bought the house on skeleton, so we had to fix it ourselves to our taste. So a month after we moved in, we had to leave and go to Kyiv. We actually was not considering leaving because number one, we're like, okay, how can we put so much money in buying a house and we'll have to leave to be paying for house rent in another place? We're like, for what it's worth, we are going to stay as far as we won't have to go outside, And Archivsk, it's one of the places where they had their natural resources, their energy stuffs then. So they were like, okay, if the war is going to go around, there is no way to get to Archivsk because they would want to, tamper with their, So we're staying. That's why we were part of the last people that left Lugansk then. So we had to go to Kiev. So when we got to Kiev, we rented an apartment. And that was how, since then, we haven't been to Lugansk.
So your house you don't even know how it looks like?
I don't know how. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if someone is living there now, because according to what people are saying, for a while, I tried to talk to my neighbor because they were part of the people that were like, no, they're not going anywhere. Because there's one thing about this Ukrainians, they are very content with what they have. They believe is like they know how the war is going to go. So they were part of the people that were telling us then that if we don't go out, nothing can happen to us. But we're very scared because I had my baby there, so we had to leave with the bombing and shelling and all that. So so we had to leave.
And you came to Kiev in late 2014, right? And then you started a new life altogether.
Yeah, we didn't actually stay that long because my husband was in his third year then before he left Lugansk, so he had to proceed. Me, I have just finished my master's, just waiting for some documentation. So I had to finish that up in Kiev as well. And so we come about, okay, why not go to Nigeria while he proceeds in his studies, a city where he has not been before. He can't just take me and the child with him. So we had to go to Nigeria. Then I went for my NYSC in Nigeria.
With the baby?
With the baby.
Your mom took care of your baby?
Huh?
Your mom took your baby and you went for NYSC?
Well, my mom is late. My sister
At the time, mom was late?
Yes.
Okay.
So he went to Ternopil.
Okay.
While I and the baby went to Nigeria. So since then, I've been going back and forth just for visits, go back, go, come back, go. So then we had a conversation about if we'll have to come back to Ukraine again. But then note, the war didn't stop in Ukraine then. But what happened, what I can say between, maybe we have to ask him a question about that.
Yeah, you can proceed. Yeah, please. Okay.
what I can say about the war now and the war then is that the war then in 2014 started as an intercity war.
Okay.
But the war now is not just Ukraine. It's affected by the whole of Ukraine, Europe, and the world in general.
Yeah.
So
That brings
yeah.
us back to our economist question, right? Okay. Okay. So when this war started, the 2022 war in February,
Okay.
February 24, where were you?
I was in Tenopia with my family.
Okay.
Again, we had newly bought another house.
I'm not lucky with
But
houses.
this time, but this time,
So when you went to Nigeria, what
Yeah.
time did you come back? I mean, to permanently live in Ukraine? Was it?
2020.
So just before COVID or during COVID?
Yeah, it was during COVID.
You jumped in.
Yeah, I didn't jump in actually. So it's COVID started 2 months after.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So it means you came around January.
yeah,
COVID started
February.
around March.
February.
March. Okay. All right. And then so you came back from your NYSC. You went, you stayed in Nigeria, did whatever you wanted to do. You decided to come and stay because the travels were too
Yeah.
much.
Mhm.
Then COVID came, you were in the room all time, and then they opened and said, everybody can go out. Then you went out, and then on 24 of February 2022, Russia invaded.
Invaded
And
Ukraine.
before the war, what were you hearing? I mean, before the war, for example, I was hearing since November that Russia is amassing weapons on the borders with Ukraine. They will show satellite videos and pictures and stuff. What were you hearing within Ukraine? What was the story about before the war?
I would say that the war in 2014 was more open.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, the war in 2022 was sudden.
No one was ready.
Nobody. We didn't even hear about it. I can remember I was in the house and my husband told me, "Did you hear the news?" I was like, "I've been online since. I didn't hear anything. What happened?" I was like, "Okay, maybe it's about back home and all that." And he told me, because I just newly came back from Kiev. I went for an exam in Kiev. So I didn't even hear. I wasn't informed at all. There's a way that, you walk on the streets and people talk about things. I have friends in Kiev who could have easily told me about this. But when he told me, I was surprised and I was like, this war again? Yeah, I knew that the war didn't stop since 2014.
But it was mostly in the east.
It was mostly in the east.
The rebels versus the states.
Yeah, and it was like getting to okay, maybe they are going to negotiate and get those cities back. But it got to a point where it was clear that okay, maybe Putin would have just to hold on to those cities then, while the Ukrainians will, move on with their life. But when he told me, I was surprised, and he showed me the news. I was like, okay, they should be ready for this because the war didn't actually end. So I'm sure they'll be ready for it. So it was something I didn't even bother to. I wasn't panicked at all because I was like, okay, by now they should have known. So it started like that, and it was at that point I started to see some news, hear some stories, receiving calls, I was personally asking people about stuff myself, and it was getting deep.
And when did it get to your city this time?
Not until now. I think they haven't invaded Tenopil yet. But there was a rumor that a church was shelled. A church was shelled. I saw that in the news. I don't know how true. But I think Tenopil is part of the safest city for now. Tenopil and Lviv.
So why did you decide? Why and when did you decide to leave? Because of the house?
Yeah, initially we thought, okay, what happened then in 2014, which made us the last part of the last people that left Lola. We're like, okay, this time around I have 3 kids, and we can't just like sit back like then. So I think because my city is very close to the border, Polish border. So like most people that travel from their city passes through.
So you were this time in the west.
Yeah. So then I remember one of my husband's friends called him. I was like, oh man, what are you still doing? And like, you have your family. If you don't want to leave this country, why don't you think of your family? Not that we didn't want to leave, but we're like, the Bible says that affliction shall not rise the second time. It's like, why is this happening again? This time around, and like, where do we go with 3 kids? Then we heard that Poland is open, Poland border is open, and they're accommodating people. It took us a while to think about that and actually consider leaving to Poland, because we're like, okay, what if what happened then in 2014 happens again? Is this how we're just going to leave everything? But then again, we had to leave. So we left. It took us like two weeks after
The war
started to leave.
So by this time, the pressure on the traffic had gone down?
The traffic, then when it started, I heard people say they spent like 3 days on the road, while some people trekked. And I know of one of the people that trekked from Ukraine to Poland. Then the guy, when he got back to Nigeria, he died.
So tired.
So we're like, that's one part of the reasons why we didn't leave. To when like people were like, okay, how do we do this? First, are we traveling with the car? Our kids are very small, and there's no way. These people, where did they sleep during these 3 days? Were they under like 24 hours on the road?
Yeah.
How did they do it? So this was so scary, and we couldn't decide on time. So in the end, we were like, we had to do something. Then we resolved at taking one of our cars and going with it. But luckily for us, when we started the journey, it was pretty small. I can remember when we got to the border, we're the first person they attended to that morning. So like around 4:30 or 4:25 thereabout.
You went to, how long were you in Poland?
Because before we left Ukraine, kind of here, I was actually processing Estonia, because I have a friend here who works here and had told me then to come and work in Estonia, which was why I went to Kyiv
Before the war, right?
Before the war, which was why I went to Kyiv to write my exam, IELTS exam then, because the school requires that I write an IELTS exam. So I was actually into studying in Estonia then. So when the war started, when we got to Poland, I wrote the border in Estonia if they are taking people in considering the war, and they told us we can come, most especially when my kids are Ukrainian citizens. So we had to proceed in the journey.
So you drove from Poland to here, or you took a bus?
We drove. My husband drove from Poland to Hungary.
Oh, okay.
Then from Hungary, we had a stopover like 1 day each in these 2 countries. So from Hungary, that was where we started the journey. And from Hungary to Estonia, it took us like 41 hours.
Why did you go through Hungary? Because of where your city is located?
Yeah, apart from that, we're actually thinking of, we got an information that UK was giving them visa and all that. So we thought if we go through Hungary, for some reasons, it would be easier.
Okay, well, I'm happy that at least you've been here for, so how long have you been here? When did you arrive in Estonia? Which month?
March 5th.
Okay, that means 2-3 weeks after the war started, you arrived here.
Yeah.
It didn't take too long. And how have the reception been for you? I mean, the life in Estonia. I mean, still, the shock is that you have 2 houses. You lost both of them to war. You spoke about your cars. So it means you've left properties home.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to start over. But how would you describe your stay in Estonia, at least the early days when you arrived at the border? I mean, you entered through Latvia. So the border, how did they receive you? How was it like?
Okay, so I think as of then, a lot of EU countries has been receiving people. So, like I said, we wrote them and we have their emails. So we're like contemplating, like, okay, how will it be when we get to the border and all that. So when we got there, we were so surprised to see a lot of cars, like people were actually coming. Because I was actually considering the hours we took while coming. So getting to the border, we're surprised to see a lot of people
also coming this way.
Yeah, at this time we don't even have to show them anything as a proof. So they saw us, saw that our kids are Ukraine passport holders, and they were kids. They had to just attend to us. And it was really nice because I can remember then they gave each of them a toy to play with. The reception was overwhelming.
Great.
Yeah.
And you've been here since March. That's about 6 months.
7 months.
7 months now. Would you call it home yet? And what happens to the school too that you were writing the exams for? Did the results come at all?
You know, the initial purpose of me writing the exam was for me to. There's no way I could come into Estonia without
coming through
studying.
school, or getting a job before you get in.
With the war, I would say it's in my favor.
It pushed you faster. It also gives you an idea of where to go at least.
Yeah, so I don't have to go through any studies. So
you don't need a school anymore.
Yeah.
So you've abandoned it because you have it already, a master's degree in economics.
Yeah.
You don't need another master's degree in literature. All right. Well, I'm happy that you've spent this time to speak with me, and I wish you all the best because it's not easy. Definitely, it doesn't matter how strong you are. These little things, at least when you sit down alone, you just feel like, I've lost a lot. But thank God we have life. When you have life, you have everything. Yeah, I'm grateful that you spent time to speak with us. God bless you.
Thank you.
And you be strengthened.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes.